Well, hello, and welcome back. I'm AJ O'Neill. This is Beyond Code Live, and we are going to recreate GitHub's new token format in our own way, and I'm going to go through some of the peculiarities of this. This is almost a part one. It's a part 6, but it's really a part 1 because everything that I've done in the other few parts turns out to be totally wrong and whatever. But anyway, Happy New Year. Welcome to the channel. I'd love to know who you are, what brings you here today, and also we're trying to get to an average of 10 Twitch streamers at a time. So if you want to contribute to that, feel free to check down in the doobly-doo for the Twitch link. And, share with a friend if you find these kind of things interesting. Anyway, I will go ahead and dive right into what we're trying to do here. So GitHub announced a while back, and I've already said this several times, but they announced back a while back that they've got this new token scheme that basically gives more entropy, meaning more randomness, meaning more security in each token. So they're using a broader alphabet of characters for their tokens, but they're also using a prefix so that they can more easily identify tokens as well as a checksum. And so I read the article incorrectly initially, or rather made some assumptions that are not explicitly stated in the article. And then between seeing a couple of other things, this is what I've come up with. So it's a 40 character token. Those are the GitHub access tokens, OAuth tokens, etc., etc. And it's broken down into 3 consecutive pieces. The first part is a 4 character prefix. The second part is a 30 character random string that is composed from the Base62 alphabet. It's not actually necessarily a Base62 encoding. In fact, I don't think that's a Base62 encoding. And the things that I encountered in trying to figure out how to do a Base62 encoding of bytes, because it's not so much the problem of going from binary to Base62 encoding. It's that we have to chunk out Base2 encoding, binary encoding, into byte encoding, which is technically Base256. And there's a number of problems that don't seem to be well solved. So I think what they're actually doing is just selecting from the Base62 alphabet and randomly putting characters in here. And then they do a checksum. And the checksum is of the whole thing. So they're taking the checksum of the prefix plus the random bits or bytes or characters or however you want to look at it. And then the checksum is 6 character. And the way that this works out is that with Base62, you are almost guaranteed to get 32 bits within 5 characters. I think that's what it is. But you're not quite guaranteed, and so it leaks over into 6 characters. I think, is that what it is? Or did I do this wrong? Yeah. Okay. So no, what it is with 6 characters, you get slightly more than 32 bits. So some of those bits won't ever be used, I guess is what it turns out to. Because when you're dealing with bytes, the bits and bytes, they don't convert easily. Anyway, hey, hello to those of you joining in. I'm AJ. I'd love to know who you are, what brings you here to the channel today. So if we want to re-implement this, the things that we can actually, here's the nice thing, is that if we know that we're always dealing with something that is 32 bits wide, which is what we're dealing here with this checksum, the CRC32 is 32 bits wide, then we don't have to do anything fancy to encode that as Base62. We can do a very naive approach to a Base62 encoding because we know that we're dealing with exactly 4 bytes every time, and it's never more than 4 bytes, and it's never less than 4 bytes. It's exactly 4 bytes, which means that it is exactly 32 bits, which means that we know exactly how many characters are going to be in the encoding. So what I'm going to do is the easiest thing first. We're going to take from a Base62 alphabet, we're going to generate some characters, and then we're going to figure out how to do the checksum. And I think we might figure out how to do the Base62 encoding of that first, and then the checksum. The checksum code should be pretty easy to do. But another point that I wanted to get across is it is highly unlikely that even if we do this implementation perfectly correct, exactly the way that GitHub does it, although they don't tell us exactly how they do it, if we were to get it perfectly correct, we would probably not be able to validate any of the GitHub tokens. And let me tell you why this is. the purpose of their tokens is in part for them to be able to identify if a token is valid or not without hitting the database. Now for them, that makes a lot of sense. Let me see if I can get to go... I don't know exactly where they say it, but essentially what this means for them is that they don't have to hit their own API calls in order to check whether or not a token is valid. But if we're looking at it from the perspective of a malicious attacker, we actually would want the attacker to have to hit the API. So my guess is that what they do in their implementation is they probably have a randomized alphabet of the Base62 set, and they probably don't and won't publish that in any sort of open source code. So only they can check to see whether or not a token is valid without hitting the API. And this is good because if they see that a token is being checked, many tokens are being checked from a particular IP address or something, that gives them a hint, hey, this might be a bot, this might be something bad. So it gives them an advantage in reducing their costs, increasing entropy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it does not give an attacker any particular advantage other than that now with the 4-character prefix, the attacker might potentially know, well, if the token is valid, the attacker will know what it goes to. But everything that goes on GitHub, everything that goes on Gist, if you commit a GitHub secret and make it public, within a matter of about 5 minutes, GitHub will delete the token for you. Okay, so with all of that backstory out of the way, we're going to go back to our repo, which was linked in the description, but I'll go ahead and link it here as well. Let me see if we can get to it there. Also, I'm going to throw in a link to the Discord. So if you want to join in the Discord, we now have a new feature in the Discord, which is that there's a channel for content ideas. So if there's something that you would like to see me cover, I will put it in the queue to cover it. All right. So first of all, here's our previous Base62 code. We're not really going to be using much of this. It's fine. We're going to go on. Just as is, we're going to include stuff in here because it's a convenient place to put it. But I'm going to use that. And then let me go ahead and give a link to the Discord. Just give me 1 second here to make sure I've got the right thing. Invite people, copy, yada, yada. Okay, so if you want to join in on the Discord, this is where to join on the Discord. Also, if you want to leave any links, post them in the Discord first, because I have links blocked on YouTube because there's just too many spam bots that are posting stuff that I don't want to post it. All right. So with all that out of the way, before we actually dive into the code, let's just have a word from our sponsor, but not really our sponsor, Mr. Mountain Dew. Pop it out, my friends, because it is time to open focus. All right. That's good. And I don't think that this one has brominated vegetable oil. I don't know if they changed that across all of the Mountain Dew line or if they just changed it for I don't know where we get it from, Costco or something, but different stores used to carry different versions of Mountain Dew. Maybe they're streamlining. Brominated vegetable oil has been in question as something that may be a hazard to your health or may not. Who knows? As with everything, California knows it causes cancer, and no one else is really sure. But everything causes cancer in too great of quantities, right? All right, so I'm going to go into our Base62 project here. Let me I'll bring that down just a touch and bring this up just a touch. That way I can get to our code easily. And we can bring our code window over. Actually, I need to bring it that way first so I can bring it out this way. There we go. Oh, nope. Boop. All right, and then run it right up against the wall there. Okay, so we can actually pull this out a little bit further. There we go. Now that fits the window space. So what I'm going to do is we're going to call this rnd.js for random. And there are a couple of different Base62 alphabets. I don't know. Have I been saying Base64 by mistake? If I have, I mean Base62. But the most common one, well, there's two most common ones. There's the BaseX, because there's an encoding scheme called BaseX that applies to many different bases. And then there's an encoding scheme that is the Base62 that's in a couple of programs like I think it's GMP, the GNU Mathematical Precision Library or something like that. Anyway, this is the Base62 library that is, I think this is the GMP library. It really doesn't matter because we're just going to be selecting random stuff from this anyway. And then the other, this is, let me pull up the BaseX library real quick. I think that it's the same Base62 would be the same as this, except I think that we follow the Base64 convention of having the alphabet letters be first. Let me go double check on that. Let's see. Oh, and then of course there's this is base62.js.org. We now have this in case you want it. This uses the BaseX encoding for large byte sequences. Let me go look at BaseX.js. By the way, I do have comments open, so if you want to leave a comment, whether it's on Twitch or YouTube or whatever, and we're hanging out, right? So this is JavaScript-ing and hanging out. So today, feel free to ask me anything. You know, life, the universe, Golang, Rust. Bring your questions. I'll bring my answers. We'll see if they match. It's something my stepdad taught me. You don't have to have a match. You can just give answers. Anyway, this is the base 58 encoding that's used for Bitcoin. That's how BaseX became popular. And then what is it? This is the 62 library. Oh yeah, so the 62 library is a little bit weird. The BaseX Base62 library is a little bit weird because it does not follow the Base64 convention or the Base62 convention that have been previously established. It's got its own thing. So it reverses. This is kind of weird because most implementations seem to like to have the alphabet in lexicographical sort order. So capital letters sort before lowercase letters and numbers sort before capital letters, whatever, doesn't matter. So what we're going to do, I'm thinking we could go about this a couple of different ways. I think that the Nuth shuffle is really the simplest way to go about it. And this is something that I just copy paste. I don't think it's worth bringing in a dependency for this because it's just a couple of lines. Let me see if I can go catch it real quick. Interesting. Where'd my package go? Is this it? Weird. That's kind of weird. That it's not. Let me just go to npm.js instead of this. Oops. Just get to the code. I should actually put the code in the README. It's very short. But this is probably the most popular shuffle algorithm. Oops, that should be HTTPS. Yeah, whoops. Oh, what have I done? What have I done? But I published this years ago. It was on a Stack Overflow post, and I cleaned it up, and then I posted it, and it is one of my fairly popular libraries, but really, it just came from Stack Overflow, like I said. But, you find something on Stack Overflow, you publish it, and you never know who will pick it up. I've got literally, my name is on every Apple TV SDK device in the world. If you go into the software acknowledgement sections for basically 3 lines of code that could have just as well been 3 lines of code that came from Stack Overflow that I published to NPM that I didn't think anything of other than that it was slightly convenient for me. And then, now I'm on TV. So I always encourage people, take the time to blog things, to repost things. You never know what opportunities it will afford you. Okay, so this is my little shuffle algorithm, and then let me see if I can remember how to do that. Actually, the BOGO sort article that I did is exactly what I want to look at. So, I pull from resources that I've created myself because if I have a problem once, I'm probably going to have it again. Let's see, where's my BOGO sort implementation? Randomize, sort. Yeah, there we go. That's good. And then I just want to pick one out of... Oh, okay. I think I see what we do here. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take the alphabet and we're going to split. So this is just so that we can get random characters in the Base62 alphabet, which actually doesn't matter which one of these that we pick. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick the first one. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this alphabet and we're going to shuffle it, and then we're going to pick the first thing, and we're going to shuffle it again, and we're going to pick the first thing, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to create this function rnd, and it's going to take a length, and this is going to be a char. I'm going to call it charlen. So it's the character length. It's not bit length. It's not byte length. It's character length. And we're going to say that for, let's see, do I return array here? All right, so this is what we're going to do. I'm going to say var chars equals, what is it, base62? Did I call it base62? Yeah, base62. So I'm just going to take that alphabet, and I'm going to slice it so that I get a copy of it. And then I'm going to say result is an empty string. And then while result.length is less than char_len, we are going to shuffle the chars. So chars equals shuffle chars. And then we're going to do result. I guess this actually should be, it'll be slightly more efficient if it's an array, actually. Push chars 0. So this is a very simple randomized function that is actually cryptographically secure, because math.random is actually cryptographically secure in modern versions of Node such. Although I guess what we could have done, another way that we could have done this, is we could have taken some bytes and coded them as base64 and then just skipped any of the bytes that were not in the character set that we want. That's another way to do this too. But tomato, potato, you know, we could do performance analysis on it or something if we really cared. But this is going to work. This is going to give us this many characters. So what was our thing here? We're going to have a prefix. We're going to have so many characters, 30 characters, and then we're going to have a checksum. All right, so here we go. So function, I'm going to call this create. So this is going to be our create token, and we're going to give it a prefix, and we're going to give it a char_len, and I guess that's all that we need to give it. And then what we're going to get back is prefix plus random char_len. This is going to give us our entropy. And then to do, we need a checksum. So we need a CRC32, the entropy. And that's going to give us back an integer. So we want to get back an integer, 32-bit wide integer from CRC32 on this string. And then we want to be able to do base62 encode. So let's say, I'll just call it encode in. And this should give us 6 characters. And if it doesn't give us 6 characters for some reason, then we just pad it with the first character in our alphabet. So that would, in this case, be the letter A, but we'll actually go with what would be base62 0. So this would be pad start. We want to pad it up to 6. And then we want it to be base62 0, whatever that is. That's what we're going to want to do once we figure out what our encode function is. And then we're going to want to return, for now we'll just return entropy. But then we're going to want to return, I guess this is what we're going to want to return. Okay, so this would be return entropy plus. That's what we'd want to do. Okay, so this is going to be essentially, well, here's the start of our GitHub token format. Okay, let me see. We got any questions here? Feel free to ask questions. They can be on topic, off topic. For the old friends joining in, feel free to say hello. I really do like to know who the audience is. And bots. All right, blocking on YouTube, blocking on Restream, blocking the bots. No, bots are not welcome. Okay, so let's say this is our prefix, and we want to do 30 characters. Console.info. This is how we're going to do it. If module, what is require.main equals module. We'll just do this. So there we are. So we're halfway there. Now we need to figure out how to do a checksum. So there's a lot of checksum libraries out there. We just need to find one that will allow us to checksum a string. And basically, the string should just be treated as bytes. So I guess it doesn't matter if it allows us to checksum an array of bytes or if it allows us to checksum a string. We're not using any characters in the UTF-8 character set. These are only ASCII characters because we're only doing the Base62 set. So it's perfectly fine to checksum the string as one character per byte. And then we're going to need to figure out how to take that output and turn it into Base62. So that's the goal here. So let's go search for CRC32JS and see if we can find an implementation that looks sane. Sheet.js. That sounds like that could be a good one. I think I know what Sheet.js is. I think that's for Excel sheets, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see if these are the ones that I think they are. Sheet.js, JS Word. Yeah, I think I've used their modules before, if I'm not mistaken. I think I've used them to export XLSX to CSV. So I feel decent about using some of their other stuff because of the interactions, the brief interactions I've had with them. Okay. So we got a buff, we got a bin stir, we got a stir. Assumes that it is a binary string at a low byte of I think we could use buff here. I think that both of these would work just fine, but I think buff is a little bit more appropriate. And then we're going to get back. That's kind of weird. I'd want to get back the positive integer version of this, I'm pretty sure. Unsigned. Okay, we have unsigned. So how do we pass the unsigned option? That's my current question. Let's look for unsigned elsewhere in here. Unsigned integers. All I see there is this unsigned. I think what we can do is just triple right shift 0, and that should give us the unsigned integer. Okay, let's try it out. So we're going to do this. This probably should be a separate repository for this particular thing, but we'll see how it goes. So under node modules, CRC32, CRC32, does this look like good code? By good code, what I'm actually meaning is this going to work in the browser? Yes. Okay, great. This is beautiful. This is great browser code. Yeah, except, wait, factory. Huh? Let me try to figure this out. Oh, okay, got it. All right, cool. Yeah, this is fairly clean browser and node suitable. It looks like, if I'm understanding it correctly. So that's good. I like that style of code. That's clean. You could get it a little bit cleaner with a little bit less compatibility, so it depends on what you want. Let me go look at how they're doing. What is this main CRC32? So is there an index under here, or what's the deal? Oh, they just didn't put the .js. That's fine. Yo, dog, what's up? Yeah, I'm back on that Base62 problem. I'm just wrapping this up. I think I found a good solution, so all is well. All right, so we're gonna go with var crc32. Well, I guess I should put this whole thing inside of an iffy. Let me just go ahead and do that real quick. And then we're going to do the same thing I normally do, which is type of module. Well, undefined equals type of module. This is the only place I use a ternary expression. I don't think it makes sense anywhere else. I do think it makes sense in this particular case. So if that is undefined, then we want window. Otherwise, we want module.exports. Okay. And then this is just, I should bring this over to the test function for Node. Let's go ahead and bring in, do we have a test function already? We do have a test function already. So test GitHub.js. How you doing, Will? You gonna say anything else? All right. Oh, I need to, let me bring back over that other code real quick. There we go. I'm going to copy that one from here. And then I'm going to grab, I need to export this in some way. So let's call this, I really want to call it Base62 token, I think is what I want to call it. Exports.base62 token equals, and then we can have generate, and then that's, I might rename this from create to generate, but that'll work pretty well right there. For code that we want both in Node and the browser, I just think this is the cleanest, simplest way to go about this, is to repeat the name when you're doing it in Node. So it's slightly, ever so slightly inconvenient. Let's see, exports here, exports dot, so that's window dot or exports dot or require, and then what is this going to require? rnd.js.base62 token. We'll clean up the names and stuff of this later. Let's just get it working for right now. So base62 token dot generate, and we can just get rid of all that. This will work like so. So this should be good. If I run this test GitHub, good. We're still getting that. That's good. Now what we need to do for this next piece is the crc32 needs to be equal to exports.crc32, which will exist on the window, or require crc32 like this. Yeah, doing good. Working on some admin portal stuff for my MUD, written in Express. All right. Got any questions about that? How's that going? All right, so let's see if this just works just with me adding that in there. It does still work. Okay, so this should be the right thing. So here, crc32.buff, and then what we're going to do is take our entropy, which is our string. So let's do this. Take our entropy, which is our string, and we just need to do, I think it's a uint8 array. What is it? New uint8 array, array buffer.from. Maybe we should just do the stir one. Because it's going to do the right thing. It's going to use text encoding, which is going to take slightly longer, but maybe it reads a little better than this. I don't know. Let's just do this. Bytes. Okay. And so then this number. Now, here's the weird thing. We triple shift. So triple shift guarantees. That's how I remember how to spell this thing. Guarantees. Whoops. And I should split this because this is weird. This should be split onto its own thing, like that. Yeah. So this guarantees that in remains unsigned 32-bit int. Because otherwise we have a signed rather than signed. All right, so we're going to guarantee that, and then at this point, let's just say we don't know what our encode function is. Let's just create a dummy encode function right now. That's just going to call .toString, return in .toString. And let's do like this right now. So here's our dummy function just to see that this works. We don't get any errors. Something comes out. All right, we got an error. This is good. So arraybuffer.from is not the right one to use. I thought it was array buffer. Is it typed array? I have to look at this real quick. Let's go take a look. Learning sequelize. It seems to require less OOP code than objection plus connects. Hey, Umbelant, what's up? Yeah, so, but why? Why are you bothering to use an RM? Why are you adding abstraction into your code? Why not just write the connects? This is the thing. This is the thing I don't get. What in the world do you have a reason to be using anything other than connects for this, right? Because all you need to do is be able to put stuff in the database and get stuff out of the database with key value pairs, right? You're not switching back and forth between Postgres and SQLite and MySQL and MS SQL and all that. So why in the world use an ORM? I think you actually told me this before, but I just don't remember. I don't remember why. I think it's a bad idea. I think it's a bad idea to add abstractions if you don't need abstractions. And if there's not a real material case for an abstraction, don't add abstractions, because mo abstractions, mo problems. Anyway, so for this, what was I testing? uint8 array.from, what can we do? ABC. Does that work? That absolutely does not work. Okay, dot split absolutely does not work. Okay. So let's try this. Typed array? Is it typed array? No. Array buffer. I think that this doesn't work the way that I think that it's going to work. I'm going to swap this over. I think I know what's happening, because I'm not doing number values. I'm doing letter values, and it's not going to do the character encoding. So I might as well just let it do the character encoding that it already has. So we're going to change this to stir. Well, yeah, entropy. So that should work. Because it's just under the hood, this is going to do something like new text encoder dot encode entropy. And that's what it's going to do. That's going to give you the uint8 array that you need. But since that already has that built in, because what you could do that's going to be faster than this is you could just split the array and then call charcode at on the array, if you don't have any characters that are multi-byte wide characters. That's what you can do. But, we'll just say, just leave that there. Okay. No, test GitHub. All right, cool. So there we are. So now we just got to take this number and convert it to Base62. So we just need to find an integer Base62 conversion. And this should basically work for any language. If we find it in Python, if we find it in Go, if we find it in JavaScript, this is very simple because it's a fixed number of bytes wide. We're not trying to figure out how do we pad the bytes, how do we turn a bit stream into a byte stream. It's just, this is a set number of bytes. The leading zeros are what they are, right? So base62 int conversion. We could probably just take this one right here. This will probably do well enough. I'll take a look. Let me think about how I would do this. Actually, let's take a step back. Before I go reach for a dependency here, let me just use that old thing on top of my head. On top of my neck, and see if I can figure out what this should be. Okay, so if we want to convert from one base to another base, what does that actual operation look like? So we've got a big number in base 10, and we want to convert it to base 62. This is one of those things where if I was in an interview being asked this question, or on a live stream where I feel that I have somewhat of a limited amount of time before it just becomes boring, my brain actually doesn't work very well because I am trying to optimize for a quick solution rather than work through the problem. Because essentially, I don't know what the solution to that is. It's probably something that's relatively simple. I know that has something to do with division and modulus, as all great problems do, but it's not something that I do on a regular basis. And so as I think about it, I don't really know. I don't really know what the solution is for that. I guess a way that I could do it, if I was going to do it the dumbest way, would be just loop through, subtract 1 over here, and then add 1 over here, and then just keep a register of counters, and every time one counter is flipped, so I guess I could keep the index in the counter register, is what I could do. So I could say every time that we reach 62, then we just tick the next register over up by 1, and then overflow any other registers. If any other register then reaches 62, we'd overflow that register. So what would be, now I start thinking of the coin problem. So the coin problem is, how do we take the highest denomination? So basically, our denominations are going to be something like, our lowest denomination is 62, and then, or I guess our lowest denomination is technically 1, but then our next denomination would be 62 squared, and then our next denomination up would be 62 times 62 to the third. And so we could basically just start from a high denomination and see what's the highest number that this goes into 62, and then start from that point and then move backwards down. That seems like something that might involve a logarithm. I'm not exactly sure. Anyway, I think I will go look for the solution elsewhere. I just wanted to take a little bit of time on camera to use my brain rather than just running away from a problem because I don't immediately know what the answer is. So I think this is actually to the power of, I didn't mean multiple, I think this is what I meant. And then 62 to the 0, of course, is going to be 1. So we got some measure like that going on. So what would it be? Log. So I'm just going to play with this a little bit further. But I'm sure somebody else has already got this done. But then when I look at the solution, I should be able to tell, is this solution in the right ballpark of what I'm thinking? So I think what we do is we take log 62 divided by log, what is it, 2? Okay, and then we take, is it math.log of that times some number? I don't remember exactly how this works. But I'm pretty sure this is a log problem where we need to find what is the highest. So say that we have a large number here, and we want to find out, this is in base 10, so we want to find out and base 62, what's the highest multiple of 62 that this would be at? Is that a math dot? I'm not really sure what that would be. Is that a this kind of problem? Or we say, let's see if I'm right here. So I think what this is going to tell us is that 62 math.pow 62 to the power of this is going to give us close to that number. And indeed it does. It gets us really close to that number. Oh wait, that makes sense because I'm just reversing this thing again. Okay. So yeah, so basically that tells us the ballpark that we're in of this was, hold on, let's see what that was. What was that again? So this tells us the ballpark we're in, which is 3, which means that we have to round up to 4. Or maybe we do we have to round up to 4? Let me see. Well, we know that we're not going to have any coins of this denomination. So the highest denomination we're going to have is this. So I think what that tells us is that if we wanted to run this through a loop, we would consider 62 to the third as basically our dollar. It's our highest denomination. And then we'd want to do a division in modulus by this. And then we'd go to we'd go through with this number to the second power and then to the first. And we just kind of loop through and then do modulus division, just like we would do with the coin change problem. So anyway, I just wanted to take a minute. I don't know that, I mean, I guess now at this point, now that I've saw this, okay, no, we're going to go the full distance on this. We're going to go the full distance on this because, again, there are too many times while I'm live streaming where I'm not actually using my brain and I just go reach for a library or something. And one of the problems with that is if you can't visualize in your head, okay, what do I think the solution is? I need to get the ballpark of the solution. Think about a physics problem, you can know whether it sounds right. If you're trying to calculate how far can a person throw a baseball, you know that it's going to be less than a mile, maybe more than 100 feet, maybe more than 100 yards, but probably not much more than 100 yards, right? Uh-oh. You want to go outside? Yeah. Okay. Well, give me a hug. Give me a hug. Just 1 second here. Give me a hug. Mommy brought you in, huh? You looks like you were outside. It looks like you're all bundled up and you're nice and warm. Huh? Yeah, I think you are. You're all bundled up and you're nice and warm. You know what? I'm on a live stream right now. See, I'm on the camera. You see? Say hello, everybody. Say hello, Internet. Can you say hello, Internet? All right. Why don't you go over there with Mommy now?
I want to go
I know. All right, give me just a couple seconds here. Come on, sweetie. Come on, sweetie. It's okay. You know what? We're going to go to a party later. We're going to go to a party. We're going to eat food. We're going to have lots of fun. Okay? It looks like you had lots of fun with Mommy. All right. Are you taking charge of her? Are you taking charge of her? Well, okay. All right. Oh, I should have put up my little BRB. Yeah, parenting live stream. Okay, what did I miss here? Oh, just people saying things about my my parenting live stream. Okay. All right. Let me see. What was I saying? Oh, I was just saying a lot of times on the live streams, I don't use my brain. And I lock up in interview type situations or situations where someone's watching it over my shoulder for things that actually require me to think. Not just to pull from crystallized knowledge, but to do things that I don't normally do. So I want to go through this just to show that we can. So let me open up another file here. I'm just going to call this encode.js. And then we'll do a little guess and check. But what I was saying is, with a physics problem, you know about the ballpark of what the answer ought to be. And so if you look at somebody else's solution and they say somebody's throwing a baseball halfway across the earth, you know that their solution is wrong. They've got some decimal places out of order or whatever. I think the same thing is important in code, because a lot of stuff that's on NPM is it's wrong. It's bad implementations. It's stuff that doesn't work. There's a lot of wrong answers on Stack Overflow. There's a lot of stuff that is actually gives you not just a non-optimal solution or bad code or sloppy code, but actually gives you the wrong answer. And so that's why I say sometimes it's nice just to think, does this actually give an answer that's within the realm of feasibility? Okay, so yeah, the purpose of this this first part here is we just want to find the exponent that's the highest possible exponent that we could be working with. So I'm going to call this exp. And this is just a common property of log. If you remember the old high school algebra from way back in the day, which I don't blame you if you don't, but I've had to use this recently. A couple months ago, I had to look this up again and use it. But basically, there's a couple of different ways to use this, but you take one number and then you divide it by a base, and then that will give you the exponent that's in the ballpark of that number. So you have, if you take, we do math.floor of this, we know that we're not going to have a number that fits within, so let's say this is n here, and this is base. So we're not going to have a number, oh, whoops. Let's see, encode in base equals 62. Oh, whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. Let me try this again. Sorry. What was it? That number, right? Console.info. And I'm going to have to pull, I'm going to have to pull that alphabet back over, that dictionary back over. But we'll say base equals 62 here, just because that's what we're doing. Well, I guess this should be there, but that'll be defined somewhere else. So var base equals 62, whatever. Sorry, I lost my train of thought a little bit. But so we're going to take, I don't know if this is the most efficient way to do this. There might be a more efficient way to do this. But we're going to take our base and we're going to raise it to our exponent. And this is going to give us our basically what did I call this? Our currency, our coin, our denomination. I'm going to call it dem for our denomination. And this is our highest denomination. The number that we pass in must be less than or equal to this number. And so then, what was I going to try to do? Basically, I'm going to try to keep some registers. So register, and we're going to, I think we're going to push on to the register. I think that's how we're going to do this. So we're going to say, then this is going to need to be while. So while n is greater than 0. So we're going to count our number down. So while our number is greater than 0, we're just going to find how many times does this denomination go into that number. So I guess I could do var dem equal dem here. And so then n divided by dem, it's going to be what goes in the register, I think. So math.floor m divided by dem, so register.push. Okay, so this should be good. And then we're going to take in is now going to equal in mod denomination. And then we're going to do exponent minus equals 1. Okay, so what we're doing here, again, I'm just going to, I need to say this again for myself as well as for you. So if I'm being repetitive, it's because I actually need to hear this out loud and regurgitated through my mouth to my brain a few times, right? So so the denomination is our it's like our dollar, our quarter, our penny. Denomination. Oh, I probably spelled. How do we spell this? Is it denomination? Denomination. Let's see, of currency. Is that right? Denomination of currency, yes. So we could just maybe call this D, because dem isn't even spelled right. It's den. But let's just call it D. And then, yeah, and then we're going to bring that back around. While n is greater D. Let's see if this works all on its own. I kind of want to put a safety check in here. Really, this should be exponent is, I'm not sure if it's greater than or equal to. Let me think about that for a second. Because if we raise it to 0, then it's the ones place, which means that it could be no greater than the base, which means that it has to be a number between 0 and 62, right? So I think if we were to look at exponent, it would actually need to be greater than or equal to 0, not greater than 0, because the exponent 0 is, well, in that case, I'm going to put it like this. Technically, in that case, for efficiency, it doesn't make any sense to do a math.pow on a base to 0 because we know that it's going to be 0. So technically, for efficiency, what we should do is then just repeat this down here as the final step. But I don't really want to do that. I'd rather say that for the sake of simplicity, not the sake of efficiency, but for the sake of simplicity, we're just counting down an exponent 3, 2, 1 to 0 so that we get the ones place, and the ones place we know will be below 62 because above the ones place is the 62's place or whatever base we're working in. Okay, so we got a question here. Newbie question: how to study effectively? Platforms for studying. Any instructor you suggest? I think that this is highly dependent upon. Let me finish this because this is something that's mentally taxing, and I'm going to get to that. Yeah, I'm going to address that question. We're live coding and hanging out. The only reason I'm pushing back on that is just because this is mentally taxing. And while I've got this in my working memory, I don't want to substitute something else out. I want to be able to work on what's in my working memory because this isn't something where I can just look at it again and then easily pick it back up. I need to stay in the flow of it. So I don't want to do anything else that's going to mentally burden me while I work on this. So, and you know, giving a thoughtful response to that question would be mentally burdensome, you know. So at this point, what I should be able to return is the register. So this is more of an encode helper. What we could do here is we could map. Let me go ahead and bring that base back over. So here's our Base62 alphabet again. Let's assume that this is our alphabet that we're using. We probably also need, actually we just need the alphabet here. We just need the encoding and the alphabet. So alphabet or dict. Because I'm going to call it dict for dictionary. Because what we're going to need is dict.length. Well, let me do it this way. This is let's keep it simple in terms of readability. So base is equal to alphabet.length. That's our base. Okay. And I guess what we could do rather than have this register is we could let's see. Let's say var index. I'm going to call it index instead of I because it's a different type of counter. It's not a counter within the loop. It's an index to the place in the dictionary. So let's say that I'm going to do this part right here. So this function, again, this will only work for numbers in JavaScript that are up to, I think, 52 bits potentially. So I think the cutoff for that would be 48. Conventionally, it'd be 32 bits because there is no such thing as a 48-bit number. That, there's 32-bit numbers and there's 64-bit numbers. Technically, the math on this should be accurate up to the 6 bytes wide. Let's see, would it go all the way up to 7? No, that would be 56, and then 56 goes to 64. So the maximum accurate number that you could get with an integer in JavaScript for base conversion would be 6 bytes wide. Yeah, so this should work. Will work only and exclusively for integers up to 6 bytes wide. Realistically, 32 bits wide. 32 bits or 4 bytes. Yeah, and I guess technically it could go all the way up to 52 bits wide, but then what does that mean? And then you got it. So I'm just gonna say, 48, 6. It's 6 bytes. That's true, which is let's do it this way instead. So you could get more bits, but you couldn't get more bytes. Let's put it that way. All right. So in this, we're going to take our register. We don't need to do a register.map. We could just do register.join. So we're going to take our register is going to be whatever our alphabet is, alphabet. And we're going to index into our alphabet. And that should be... So if our denomination is 3, and we divide this by 1, if our denomination is 0, and we divide it by 1, that should be 0. That should give us a 0 index. Okay, and then we might want to pad this. So we could put, pad is equal to, I think, 4 bytes. 6. 6 should be the normal amount that we want to pad, but we could say that we want to pad to 0. I guess it depends on the alphabet. Pad should be, let's see, var pad should be base. Let me think about this. We have to do byte division on this. So if the base is 62, it's a ratio. What's the ratio? And it'll be interesting to see if we get the same result with this and whatever I pull off of NPM. Let me check comments here again. Yeah, so Humble Ant, stick around. I will get to that question. I hope that you stick around anyway. So the padding, the number of bytes is going to be, we can do a simple multiplication on this because we can know the base divided by 256. Is that it? Or is it 256 divided by the base? 256 divided by the base. I don't remember. We're just going to put pad in there as 0 to start with. I am taking the lazy way out on that. There is a way to calculate. I'm just not thinking of it off the top of my head. But you could say if you know that it's this many bytes wide, so say it's 4 bytes. Okay, maybe we go through this. So assume 4 bytes is the target, the typical target. Then we want to multiply by 256 divided by base. That's what it is. Okay, I'm not taking the lazy man ways out anyway. So pad is equal to this, and we would do math dot. I think we want to do ceil on this. if I'm not mistaken. Oh, I see some more comments coming in. I'll check those out in just a second. Oh, lightning. What's the lightning? Is that... What's up, Soy Pete? Hey! Hey-o! And I don't know who Steffi128 is. But welcome. Welcome to the channel. What lightning are we talking about? Oh, rated! Sweet! Oh, that's great. Yeah, so what I'm working on right now for the people that are joining in is basically I decided rather than be lazy, because when you're doing something that is complex, you've got to have some sort of ballpark. If you were to look back at the stream, I explained this, so I'll just do it really quick. In a physics problem, if you're tasked with finding out how far someone threw a ball, you can get a ballpark answer, as in you can know that they should probably be able to throw the ball more than 10 feet. Maybe they can throw the ball 100 feet. They probably can't throw the ball more than 100 yards. So if you get an answer that's on the fringes, where it's either less than 10 feet or it's more than, say, 100 or 200 yards, you might want to say the person that I copied the code from might actually have the wrong answer. And so for some complex problems, what it's better to do is to actually maybe think a little bit. What would be even if I don't know what the solution is, what's the ballpark of the solution I'm looking for? And I'm looking to encode something from decimal into base 62. And then I decided to take it one step further to be even less lazy. And I said, you know what, I'll just do an implementation, even though, it's kind of, I don't know if not embarrassing is the word, but it's stressful to do something that requires actual brain work on a stream, because it's going to get boring and you might come up with a wrong solution or do something wrong. And I don't know, things that just really require brain work. And this is something where I have to pull out my old high school math skills, which are kind of rusty, right? So anyway, I'm ending up writing the encoder myself, and then I'm going to go check my encoding against someone else's encoding and see, are both of our solutions, is the solution that's on Stack Overflow, is it in the right ballpark? Is it different from my solution? And then, be able to decide, did I do it correctly or should I use somebody else's? But at least this, going through the process of actually writing the Base62 encoding myself is, if nothing else, it's giving me an idea of what the right ballpark would be if I were to use someone else's code. I might be off by one or might be doing something wrong, but at least, I'm getting to the basic idea of it. Anyway, so where was I at? Now I lost my place. I was looking at pushing the alphabet stuff onto the register. Oh, the padding. I was trying to figure out the padding. Right. So if my base is 60, so let me do it this way. If my base is 64, I remember this, it's 4/3 is my ratio. So I think where that came from, if I'm not mistaken, is reducing this. So this, I think this reduces down to 4/3. No, that's not right. What was it? No, this was math.log divided by math.log of 2. That's what this was, I think. That gives me, is it 2 over 256? Actually, I don't remember what it was that gives me the number that I'm looking for. Oh, let me get rid of this. Now, let me do this, 256. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And then same thing here, math.log 64. So 256 is a byte. 2 is binary. And then if I take this should be about 4/3. Yeah. So this is the equation that gives you, given a base that you want to convert from one base to another base, how many more characters are going to be in the output when you arrive at the result set. So for example, if I did 16, then I'm going to have, two characters as 1 byte, so I should get 2. And then if I go to 32, then it's going to be 1.6, apparently. What is that? 8/7 or something? I don't, fifths? I don't know. I can't remember off the top of my head. But if I do 64, then it's 4/3, and then 128 should be fractions are hard. But anyway, the closer we get here, the closer we get to just 1, meaning that we're not blowing up how many bits we have. But yes, so this is the correct math for if we want to determine what the padding should be. It's actually going to be this. It's going to be math.log a byte divided by math.log bits, math.log the new base, divided by math.log binary. So I think I actually got that right by miracle. So that's going to tell us what our default padding should be. And the 4 is because we're expecting that we're typically going to be dealing with a number that's 4 bytes wide, because that's the maximum normal integer that you can do in JavaScript. So now I say register.join, and then we're going to do pad start with that number pad, and then with alphabet. And feel free to ask questions. We can go off topic. This is just live code and hanging out. So this is not like something super important, and I'm just going off on a tangent in the first place. And then I'm going to answer Humble Ant's question about study practices once I've done this. I just want to get through this because it's a, it's a mentally intense task, and I don't want to shift gears while I'm still in the mode of figuring it out. Let's use some null coalescing here. Okay, so that looks, I don't really like this. This is way too long and it's kind of cryptic. I'm not sure what the best way, I don't know how it's to do this though. I don't even know what this is actually called, this number here. I'm just getting the ratio. It's the ratio of, let's call it ratio. Let's at least pull that part out. The ratio of how many extra characters to expect versus bytes. I don't know if that's even said correctly. That looks wrong. So this should be together, and this should be together, and this should be together like this. Yeah? Okay. So good thing I broke that down because I actually had the parentheses wrong. Okay. So all right, I think this is kind of, this is terse, but I think I have the code correct. So let's go through this one more time before I run it, because this is another technique in interviewing and stuff. I talked about this before on the videos I've done on interviewing. It's more about, can you visualize the solution to a problem than it is, can you get the correct solution? Because we're always going to have these off by 1 errors, and oh, I forgot to do this or whatever. But it's, can you step through your code without doing a guess and check? Can you visualize that you think you've got the right thing? So I'm going to encode an integer that's going to be a 32-bit integer that I'm expecting to be 4 bytes wide is the intention. The padding is how we would say that we don't expect it to be that many bytes wide. If we know that we're only dealing with a 1 byte or whatever, then we might set padding to 0 and so forth. Anyway, or I guess to 1, although technically that should never execute. Anyway, so we've got our alphabet, such as this Base62 alphabet. We determine the base from the length of the alphabet. If we have an alphabet with 62 characters, it's Base62. If it's 64 characters, it's Base64, etc. We have a register where we're accumulating the denominations of our base, and we've got the ratio. Actually, let me put this down here because these are kind of more related to each other, whereas these are more related to each other, I guess. Yeah. Does that make sense? Does anything, does exponent dependent on up above there? No, it's not. Okay. So we've got our ratio that's just for the padding. It's no big deal. I don't really care about that right now. If I got it wrong, it doesn't matter. Not for this anyway. So our register is where we're accumulating the characters that are going into our byte stream. here we are taking our exponent, meaning our highest denomination is going to be 62 to the what? 62 to the third, 62 to the fourth, 62 to the fifth, 62 to the second. What is the realm within which our number could not be possibly larger than this? Is basically take the log of our number divided by the log of our base. That's going to give us a number that is, if we floor it, we know that if we go any higher, dividing by that number, we'd only get 0. So we start there, and then we go through with our exponent being at whatever it happens to be at. Within this particular case, where we're only working with 32 bits, it's probably not going to be more than 5 or so, I think. And then we're going to go through, we're going to take our base, 62, we're going to raise it to that power, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to start at the highest power, we're going to move down. We're going to get our index into the alphabet by taking our number and dividing it, flooring the division by that, which should be at least 1 for our very first run of this, assuming that the number isn't 0. And then we're going to push that alphabet number into our register. So that's whatever index we are in the alphabet, we're pushing that into our register. And then we're going to take the remainder, because now we've taken the whole number. By flooring, we've taken the whole number. Now we need to take the remainder, and that is our leftover in value. We're decreasing our in value, and then we're decreasing our exponent. So when exponent gets down to 0, which is why we have less or greater than or equal to 0, then we will just be dividing by 1. So our number will be equivalent to itself, which must be less than the base at that point. Okay, then after we've done all that, when we join our register should be, because we're pushing into our register, the numbers are going, larger numbers are over here. Wait, hold on. Facing the camera. Larger numbers are over here. Larger denominations of number, as I call them, to smaller. Pad start. And then we're going to pad with alphabet 0, which is our 0 character. Okay, so let's go ahead and do our encode. Oh, and I got nothing. That scares me. Why did I get nothing? Encode base. Let's see, json.stringify. What did I do wrong? So I'm going to have to do some console.logs to do some debugging here. So sorry this is taking a little bit longer. But again, this is what I said. It's kind of boring stuff. It's terse stuff. I'm doing it, more because I need to, I guess, prove to myself that I actually am capable of using the thing on the melon on top of my neck, rather than always just saying, this seems like it's going to hurt to think. I'll just go reach for a library. Actually going through the pain of thinking and luckily I had been doing some of this log stuff, again, like I said, a month or two back, so it's kind of fresh in my memory. But what's going wrong here? Let's just make sure that everything looks right from, we're getting a number in, we got an exponent. So let's see here. Do we have a number? Do we have an exponent? And then let's console.log. Let's do in here. And we'll do in here. Let's see what we get when we console.log that. Nan. Okay, great. This is excellent. That's probably where our problem is. So why would we be getting nan? For, was that our exponent value? Let's take a look again. Okay, maybe our base is wrong. So let's do console.log here and just make sure n is still a thing and do base and see what base is. Because we did something wrong here. Huh. How is base undefined? Alphabet. I did not pass in our alphabet. Our alphabet is base 62, not the number 62. Got it. That's where we went wrong. So let me go back here. Get rid of that. That was an old iteration. Okay. So this is not 6 characters long. I do want it to be at least 6 characters long. So let's do this. Let's say 6 is how much we want to pad. So then I think I'm expecting 001 RVS. 001 RVS. Okay. Let's go compare this to somebody else's implementation and see if the numbers match, which hopefully they do. Okay. Anyway. Yeah, let me, now's a good time to take a break and let me answer this question that was a bit off topic. How do I study effectively? Platforms for studying, any instructors you suggest? Okay. I don't know what is going to be best for you. My question would be, how did you study in school? Or how have you studied things that you've learned well? That might be the better question. So think of things in your life that you have probably enjoyed, at the very least that you, if not have excelled at, have done your personal best at, right? Because comparison's a hard thing, because maybe you're on the lower end of the spectrum across a lot of variety of things, and you're just, then we can't say what do you excel at above others, because maybe you don't excel at a, but something that you can compare yourself to yourself and say, well, where am I in relationship to myself on certain topics of study? What is it that helped me? Typically, people learn about the same way, but for different tasks. There's no such thing as a visual learner. Veritasium did a great video on this. There's no such thing as a visual learner or an auditory learner or a kinesthetic learner. We all learn, on average, the way that it makes sense to learn any particular given thing. So physics, it makes sense to be a visual learner because you're representing things that are in the real world that have relationships to each other. So being able to draw out the problem is going to help anybody learn, right? So I'd say figure out what it is that has worked for you in the past for the types of things that you have learned well for yourself or in comparison to others, whichever gives you the greatest metric of benefit. And does that same style apply well to coding, or is it something that doesn't apply well to coding? But I'd say try to find some similarities, things that have worked for you in the past, because what works for me is not necessarily going to work for you. There are some tricks that I can teach you for particular things that I think work well across the board. But for programming, that's such a wide topic. I don't know how I could help you. So again, I'd say break that down. Are you good at math? Then maybe focus on the math aspect of programming and look for jobs that require the math aspect of programming. Are you good at determining business solutions, what people need? If that's the case, focus on the business logic aspect of programming and requirements and documentation. So I would say focus more on where your strengths lie as a strategy for positioning yourself for the highest value for an employer. So for example, I do documentation. I've always done documentation. It's always been something that I've enjoyed. I'm not the smartest programmer when it comes to things like artificial intelligence or machine learning. I was good at math, but I don't necessarily enjoy math all the time. So for me, where I found my niche is in more documentation and business requirements than in the deeper parts of programming. Although I think this qualifies as deeper parts of programming, and I do find some enjoyment in that. Let's see if our answer is actually correct. But anyway, let's see here. We've got some junk that I need to delete here. Block this user. Add to block list. There we go. Bye to you. Yeah. So does anybody else have some thoughts on that? Study habits that have worked well for you, and also Humble Ant, if you're still around, which I hope you are. Give me feedback. Is what can I help? Can we pick some part of that and then explore it more, or is that enough for now and you got to think on it? Or let me know. Also, for those of you that are joining in, if this has been helpful or useful or edutaining, give it a thumbs up. Otherwise, give it a thumbs down. If you like it, share with someone that you like. If you don't like it, share it with someone that you don't like. You can share on Twitter, on Facebook. I think YouTube has basically a retweet option on videos these days. But anyway, I'm trying to get to the point where we have an average of 10 Twitch viewers, which, by the way, if you enjoy it on YouTube, don't feel like you have to switch to Twitch or anything. But that's kind of that's a soft goal that I have for the channel. I want to see what happens when when I actually get the Twitch award thing where I get to have a subscribe button and whatnot. And realistically, I need to have an average of about 10 Twitch views because they round down on the averages several times, and you have to have these averages accumulate over videos, over a 30-day window, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So if your target is 10, then you can actually get the 3 that they, after all of their different ways that they round down. Okay, so let's go see what we can do here. I kind of want, let's see, can I kind of want to see. Okay, let's just go look at somebody else's implementation at this point. And let's see if their implementation looks like our implementation. Or this Base62 online encoding tool. Let's just see what we get. Change my preferences. Normally, if you just say change my preferences and then save, it gives you the minimum. All right, so let's see input. So let's who knows whether or not this is another problem, is it does not say which alphabet. 0 through 9, A through Z, A through Z. So we may need to change the alphabet. Okay. What is this? Base. Huh. Oh, I don't like the way that they're doing this, because that's not what I actually want. So B, return 0. So I think what this is saying is that their Base62 alphabet is 0 through 9, A through Z, A through Z. So we might have to change ours in order to match theirs. But let's just see what this looks like. That's not what I expect at all. Because theirs doesn't start with leading zeros. And this, oh, they might be doing it as text. They might be encoding text, not encoding numbers. So I don't think that one's actually a good one to start with. Let's see what we got here. Okay. Okay, this looks a little bit better. I don't know. Let's look for Base62 integer conversion, because I think I did it right for a 32-bit integer. See, this is where, ballparking it was helpful, because I could look at that and I could say, hey, my number's small. It should have began with the leading 0 character. Okay. Collection. Okay, while dividend mod, dividend. Okay, this looks about the same, except I don't see where dividend is being decremented. No, dividend is, okay. So remainder, dividend is number. So we're going to take it, we're going to mod it with that. Get the remainder, and then we're going to divide it by that. I think I kind of get this. Prepend. So they're going the opposite direction, I think. They're building out their string the other way. So I'm saying let's start from the largest possible number and work our way down. And they're saying let's start with the smallest possible number and work our way up. That's probably more efficient. But I don't know. I don't know. I could have sworn, I'm going to try one more thing. I could have sworn on NPM I saw integer conversion for this. Base 62. Let's see if we can find something to compare against. There's base x. That's completely different. That's for arbitrary bytes. It's not for integers. And it's a different ball game. Okay. Let's see. Thanks. Well, I'm not a fan of math. I enjoy design and business aspect. I've watched many tutorials. I guess there should be a better way of learning programming concretely. DevOps too. So if you like the DevOps stuff, I would really recommend take a break from programming. And there is a book that I read in high school, which seems to be still the best book on the market, which is called Running Linux. I'll give you a link to it in just a second. And I think the latest version is the version that came out in 2006. There have been several versions. This is 5th or 6th edition. So this is just a knowledge bomb. And there are some things that are different about the Linux kernel from what is mentioned in that book. But I think that around that time is kind of when the Linux kernel really got solid and stopped changing every couple years. And so over the last 10 years, I don't think the kernel has changed as much as it changed in the 2 to 4 years before this version of the book was published. There were wild changes in the Linux kernel. And what Linux is, I don't know if I don't think Systemd had been widely adopted yet. But in general, what Linux is, that book is great for. And that's great underpinnings of understanding the larger context of programming within, you're programming for a system, essentially.
I feel better now.
Okay. Just closing the door here. Okay. And I also, again, I just recommend everything on creedsofcraftsmanship.com. I'd say just go through those things. Watch those talks. Those are the things that I can recommend. I also think Learning Python the Hard Way is a good book. I've heard lots of success stories about it. I haven't used it myself, but I appreciate the methodology from thumbing through it. So, again, craftsmanship.com.
My old toothbrush.
Good, sweetie. All right. You just go right on out of the office here.
Dad, will you go out of the office?
I will. I will come out of the office. All right. So I got the door cracked open because I'm running an extra power cable in here to get the extra heat in here because I can't run. Yeah. In this particular situation, I don't need a lot of heat, but if I run the heater off of the same circuit that everything else is on, then the breaker trips, and so I have, you know how it goes. You know how it goes. Where, running your office out of the garage where the central air doesn't get to. Anyway, where were we at here? I was trying to see if there is a base 62. This is the problem with base 62 is there's just a million different ways that people look at it. This looks about right, maybe. This one looks right. Taking a number. So let's, can we try this one online? We might be able to try this one online. Let's see if we get the same number here. Of course, we have to wonder which character set. It's using a janky... Oh, no. Okay. So what's the default character set that it's using? It's using 0 through 9, A through Z, A through Z. Okay, so let's adjust our encoding here to use that definition of base 62. So the other name for base 62 is alphanumeric, by the way. I've mentioned this a few times, but just to say it one more time. Okay, so, interesting. Well, it's interesting how that makes sense. Yeah, so it's not that big of a difference. You're just switching. Okay, cool. So that would give us ballpark answers as well. Let's see. Can we use this here? Require base 62, base62.encode. Let's see what happens if we take our number and we compare it to their encoding. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, I'm hoping this is actually going to be favorable. So our number is 345,678. That was a lot less random than I felt like it was when I typed it out. All right, run. What do we get? Yay! Look at that. Look at that. Okay, high degree of confidence. I created an implementation just using the old noggin on top of the shoulders, and someone else, at least, they came up with the same thing. I'm using padding. This is great. This is great. High five, everybody. We did it. Huzzah. Now let's put it all together and get it on the website, and then I'm going to have to get off, but I'll stick around to answer a few more questions if we've got some more questions. Okay, so here's our encode. Our encode worked beautifully. So interesting that different people are using different Base62 encoding alphabets. It is not standardized in the way that the other one is. Base64 and some of the other ones are. Okay, so there's one more thing. There's one more thing, which is, could we get greater efficiency doing this the other way? So let me get rid of all this. Let's say that we didn't calculate this at all. I just want to try this real quick just to see. So let's say that what we did instead was, let's see what they were saying. I think we'd still need index. Let me bring that back up here. All right, so while we have a number, let's say we're going to do, what was it? Index is equal to, what was it? N mod base. And then this doesn't seem quite right. And then we do register.shift alphabet index. And then we would do n equals n divided by base. Was that? Was that it? Something like that? What do we got here? Do I prefer books or video tutorials? Appreciate awesome J Cool. The A is for awesome. The J is for just doing my thing. Do you prefer? I personally prefer books. I do. I prefer books for programming. So this is the book that I will be reading this week. Thankfully, it's only 200 pages or so, and probably a significant portion of that is indexed at the back here. Let's see. Well, significant portion. The last 10 pages or so. So let's see. Oh, no, 243. So I don't know how I'm going to do that, but I'm going to get, before the next Rust meetup, I'm going to read this book. But I prefer the books, and I don't like the online books. It's not good for my eyes. It's not good for my ability to concentrate. I prefer the old-fashioned book. Plus, programming is a lot about scanning for understanding. And so, to me, being able to flip back and forth pages of a book, okay, let me look at that previous section of code. Now let me look at the next section of code. Because oftentimes the examples build on one another. And so it's like, wait, how did we get from example A to example C? Okay, let's take a look at example B again. Okay, wait a minute. I missed something about example B. Let's go back to example A. Example A, okay, important paragraph about why we do this. Example B, that's kind of, and so I like to scan back and forth. I just feel that for me, even though I produce some video material, I learn better by being able to see the beginning and the end. And you've seen how I look at documentation. I look at the top, I look for a TLDR. If they don't have one, I scroll down to the bottom. Then I scroll back in the middle and try to figure out where's the minutia detail, right? Speaking of which, let me go back to, there was, what was it? It actually had a really concise, easy to read way that they did this. Okay, no, I don't know. Now, oh, you know what I didn't do that I should have done? Anytime something works, git commit, even if it's just whip. If it works, git commit. Don't modify working code without committing. That said, I'm going to continue to do this for a second. All right, so let me think about this. So we're going to get the remainder of whatever this is, and then we're going to divide by the base. Well, the problem with this is that we're going to end up with n being 1, right? This is where I'm a little bit confused. So what do we do? If 1 equals n break? Is that how this works? Because that seems like that might make sense. I'm just going to run this and see what we get. But, okay, we're going to take the remainder. Then we're going to put the remainder on there. Then we're going to divide by the base. Then if n is equal to 1, then we're done, because there's nothing more that can be done. Or is there? I don't know. This one just doesn't seem quite right to me. What we were looking at looks something like this. Yeah, it's not quite right. I'm not going to worry about it. But I think there is a little bit more efficiency that could be had here. I took somewhat of, I don't know if I want to call it a brute force approach, but this right here is somewhat of a brute force approach, as I'm saying, okay, what's the highest denomination, and we're going to go from top to bottom. And that wouldn't scale well for a large number of bytes, right? But it's scale, I mean, it works. I got the right answer, what seems like the right answer for a small number of bytes. So I don't know what to make of it. But anyway, let's go ahead and oh gosh. How do I want to look at this? I've got my random function. There's my encode function. I get rid of this base62. There's the encode. Okay, now I got to figure out what to call this, because it's different from what I was working on before. This just converts between integers and back, and it doesn't convert between big ints. It would be interesting if we could do big ints. I don't know how that would work exactly. But that's where it gets, you know, really crazy, is when you're trying to work from bottom to top, which is what you have to do with something big. With something small, you can start from top to bottom. Let's see here. Anyway, what did we do? Now we've got our encode function, right? So we're going to encode alphabet. All right, let's just pass in alphabet instead here. Alphabet. And then from the rand, we'll do alphabet. And then here we'll do chars.length. Instead of charlen. So that should still work. And then we need a verify function. We're going to need a verify function. So a generate and verify function. So here's our create. Okay, so we need to encode, and what, base 62 is our alphabet, and then our padding is 6. Oh, I guess we do this alphabet. All right, and then for our verify function, it's going to be really simple. Except that, well, we basically need, we need to have our entropy. It's not even necessarily entropy at this point, but it's our string and our CRC. And basically, let me think about this. So string plus CRC is equal to encode. No, it's not quite create. What do we need here? We need another function that's checksum. And this one needs to be able to take a string. So what we need to do is be able to do, say, checksum this, right? And then here would be stir. Wait, where did this? There we go. Okay. So we should this is what we should be able to do. We need to be able to say entropy plus checksum. Yes. Yes. This is correct. So checksum. And then alphabet here, alphabet. I saw some comment or something coming. I'll check that in just a second. So we're just going to return the encode. Again, I did a no-no because I should have committed the code that was working. Because it always sucks when you have something working and you're like, oh, I'll make one small change. Oh, it broke. Well, that's no fun. Okay, and we could actually know potentially the number of characters. So if we've given a string, we know that the string is equal to the length of the number of bytes plus the number of checksums. So we can say that the length of the string is equal to the length of the bytes plus the length of the checksum, and we know that the checksum is dependent. The length of the checksum is dependent upon the length of the bytes. Right now, the alphabet. I don't want to do that math. I mean, it's not useful for this particular scenario. It's just better to say, look, pass in the string and pass in the checksum, and you're good to go, right? Okay, what was that comment? I would like to hear your comments related to front-end technologies. Which combination is better to stick with? What do you get when you mix an elephant with a rhino? Have you heard that one before? When it comes to front-end, it's a dumpster fire to me. So I don't have a lot of good advice on that. Yeah, I muted because I ripped one. Just so we're all clear. All right, so there we've got our verify, checksum, and this probably deserves a little bit more love in terms of I want to specify an alphabet and then have all of these scoped to that. Checksum the string and the alphabet, and verify. Oops. Alphabet. Alphabet. There we go. Is that the better function signature here? Okay. So this is something, I think this is basically, GitHub could use this. The one thing that I think is going to be different is, let's see, do we have Base62 used anywhere? No, we do not. So let's say that Alphabet is by default Base62, or let's say it's Base X, Base X62. I don't know which one it should be. I don't know that there should be a default, to be honest. This is one of those situations where I don't think it's possible to have a reasonable default because nobody can agree. Therefore, how about we just not have a default? Is that cool with everybody? We just say, look, bring your own alphabet. But the way that we would use this if we were GitHub is we would first scramble our alphabet. So let's go back to this here. And I'm going to do git checkout-b GitHub. Before I go any further, I'm going to follow my own advice and just add all of this stuff. Git commit-m. Git commit-m whip. There we go. That time I muted because I was typing my password, as per usual. It's very polluted like JS. The front end. Is that what we're saying? The front end is very, well, most of it is JS, right? Okay, so all right, so what we need here is an alphabet. And I think we should supply some common alphabets. I think that is fair. So let's say some common alphabets are, we're going to have Base62, we're going to have Base X62, and then we're going to have, I'm going to call it Base6462. Which is that it starts with like that. And I think we can export these. So exports dot, well, let's see. Base62, Base62. Is that fair? Base X62, Base X62, Base 64, 62, Base 64, 62. So basically Base 64 truncated. That might be a better name for this, trunk. Base 64 trunk. I don't know. But if we want to create Base 62 tokens, then Base62 token dot Base62. But here's the real kicker, is that what they're most likely going to be doing is generating something random and then saving that in an env file. So their whole system probably uses a randomized alphabet. But let's go ahead and do this one for fun's sake. I'll probably break because I probably did something wrong here. Oh, yeah, there we go. Of course. That doesn't look right. That looks too long. Ah, indeed, indeed. Whoops. Indeed, 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 indeed. What did we do wrong here? Should alphabet be the first of each of these? Because it seems that we always have alphabet. Yes, it should be. Okay, so alphabet and then Charlin. Why didn't somebody tell me, AJ, you're doing a stupid? Somebody should have known. Okay, we're going to change this around. Alphabet, prefix, Charlin. All right, we're going to change this from, yeah, the alphabet almost becomes the thisness. We could almost, yeah, just create, pass in the alphabet and hand back an object that has all of these. I think that would be the more appropriate thing to do, honestly. But for right now, because I do have some other stuff that I want to do tonight, I am just going to move these around. And then hopefully we still get about the same. Alphabet. Let's see. Alphabet first there. Let's change this around to being the first thing that's passed in there. Let's change it to be, nope, that's appropriate. That's right, that's right, that's right, that's right, that's right, that's right, that's right. Okay. So let's go update the test. So that test first does alphabet and then length. So this should be 30. All right, let's test this out. And then I don't know where I have that console.log still, apparently right there. All right, what else we got? What do you expect from a guy who stuck with HTML and CSS? What do you mean by that? Do you mean, clarify. Okay. All right, so token equals, all right, and then let's see, base62 dot verify, and then we need to pass in also alphabet and then token dot slice. I forget how to do this. Is it 0 to -6? Let me see. So if we have the string and we do slice 0 to -2, that is what I expect. And if we do -2, that is what I expect. Okay, good. Okay, cool. This is exactly what I expect to have happen. All right, so who says we throw a bunch of crypto miners at this and see if we can derive what GitHub's token is? Of course, there's a couple of different variations that they could use on Base62 encoding. They could be encoding from front to back. They could be encoding from back to front. So we would need to take this operation and multiply by 2. But essentially, we have 62 factorial is our key space. So let's see. How could we divide that up? We could certainly put this process in parallel across many different machines. And all we would need is, say, 5 of their tokens. Of course, there's a number of ways that you could do this to really just make it I think it's already fairly impossible to guess what their dictionary is. But let's say that they chose their dictionary based on the first so many characters or bytes of the token. There's no way that we would know that, right? So it could even be a revolving dictionary where we don't know which dictionary is being picked from, but they know which dictionary is being picked from. And so you could add even more entropy by just having more dictionaries. Just that seems silly. That seems in the realm of security by obscurity, not actual security. Whereas I think that just randomizing the dictionary is actual security. Let's see. Okay. You said somebody else should have noticed the bug. Yeah, I really don't expect anyone to be following along that closely. But sometimes people catch an error. They say, hey, on line 32, didn't you mean to do X instead of Y? And then I say, yeah, thank you. But yeah, this is one where I was just in the middle of refactoring it and changed a value that I changed basically the length of characters that I want out for the length of the base dictionary set. So yeah, that was maybe, if you were paying close attention right then, somebody would have noticed. Anyway, Jay asks, how am I celebrating the new year? Any goals or resolutions? So there is one goal that I have not figured out how I want to make it yet, but I do want to create either a book or a course on programming. That was, I think, what I wanted to do. I don't know, was it 2 years ago or something? And I've gotten to the point where I'm live streaming just about every day, which is great. And I'm getting a lot of interaction with people, which is great. I'm hearing different questions, ideas are forming. But being a very divergent thinker, it's difficult for me to serialize things and say, okay, this thing definitely comes before that thing. And allow leeway, because sometimes you have to do something without learning it first. You have to do something and develop muscle memory for it, and then you learn it after the fact, which is actually one of the reasons that I have that are 4 frameworks. This is sometimes it is actually easier. People don't necessarily realize this because they think once they learn JavaScript, they think, oh my gosh, I wish I'd learned JavaScript first, rather than learning one of these other languages like TypeScript or ReactScript or whatever. But the thing that they don't realize is that the framework that they have, even though it was magic and didn't actually help them learn the core fundamentals, gave them a lens through which to view the core fundamentals. And so having that lens through which to view it gives you this 20/20 hindsight of, oh, I wish I had learned JavaScript first. But do you really? That's my question. Do you really wish that you had learned JavaScript first? Because if you had learned JavaScript first, would it have helped you as much as learning it after? You know, it's kind of like training wheels. You don't learn how to ride the bike and then put on the training wheels. Sometimes you put on the training wheels. Well, you sometimes you do. Some people just learn how to balance and then they go from there. But a lot of times you learn how to ride the bike with the training wheels, and then you take the training wheels off and you say, I wish I just learned how to ride the bike without training wheels instead of wasting all that time on the training wheels. But in fact, the training wheels did give you a more narrow scope of operation in order which to increase your balance, etc. So, but that was a little bit far from the tree of the original question of what are my New Year's resolutions. But that's kind of the thing that I got on my mind. Telebit needs to be a paid product. And I do want to actually create lesson style content, but I haven't formed what that should be, whether it should be, should I do a video every week? Should I be working on a book every week? What is it that I should be doing? And then what is the deadline that I set? If I'm working on a book, do I want to finish it by June so that it could go through editing and publishing? If I'm working on a course, I figure whatever I do, I probably should finish it by June. Because if I don't finish it by June, then all of the auxiliary stuff that you have to do to get the payments in place, to get the marketplace, to get the shipping, to get the distribution, not just like shipping, but the distribution, you know. So be it. How about you? What are you up for? And by celebrating the new year, I'm just going to go hang out with a friend tonight. My wife, she just kind of wants to take the night off and chill. So I'm going to take Le Daughter, the one that was screaming in here earlier, and we're going to go hang out with a friend of mine and see how that goes. And if she doesn't really like it, then we'll come back. But I think she'll like it. I think she'll enjoy being around the people. Okay, so now what I need, I really have two different products here. Dang it. And I don't really feel like, I think I need just one more session with this, which is let's clean up this thing and then do the publishing bit. Because I feel good about where we got to. There's one other thing that I want to change. First of all, this file RND should not be changed. Should not be named RND. Should probably be named. I don't know. What do we call something that generates token? What do we call it? Generator? Generator.js. Because this whole bit deals with tokens. And the other thing here is that kind of want to do this. I guess we could just I don't know that I even need to split that. Could be wrong, but I don't think I actually need to split it anymore. I think I wanted to work with it as a byte array, and then I realized, wait a minute, I'd have to convert all of this to bytes, and I don't actually want to convert it to bytes. There is a base 2048 that is not the other base 2048 that I've done. Because there's the passphrase base 2048, but there's also it's a way of doing characters in Twitter. So Twitter doesn't count bytes, it counts characters. And so you can use Unicode byte sequences to get a base 2048 so that you actually store more than 1 byte of entropy per character. And that's very interesting. So because it's character-based encoding on Twitter, not byte-based encoding on Twitter. So if you choose from a character set that's greater than 256, such as 2048, then in a single character, you can fit up to, I think it's 4 bytes is what it ends up being. Is that right? Yeah. Yeah. So if you wanted to use this special encoding, I don't know if I'd quite put it in stenography because I don't think it would fit in that category. But you could send 4 bytes per character over Twitter, and that would be relatively efficient encoding, I guess. It's at the very least interesting. Okay, so we want to have... Now, this should be called generate. Absolutely should be called generate. So what I want to do here is I do want to have a function that's create. And in this function create, what I want to return is this will take a base. Now let's take a dict, we'll call it. And this will return a generate that already has, let's see, so pre and charlin. And this will return generate dict pre charlin. And then we'll do the same thing with a checksum. Stir. Then we'll do the same thing with the verify, right? And then we can have the base again. Okay, what would verify take? Verify would take the stir and the CRC. Okay. I think I want to call this entropy, not stir. To be more clear. because this would be okay, return verify dict entropy CRC. Is that right? Because somewhere what this should say is it's returning the token, right? Let's just do this. Var token equals, just for the sake of documentation. All right, I think this is right. Okay, did we get another question here or comment? Just hang out with my wife, drinking champagne, having some filet mignon. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. We've got some Martinellis. Goals for me are to collect the first paycheck as a developer. 0 to 1, baby. And maybe start picking up Golang once I'm stronger in JS. I would go the reverse way around. I could be wrong about this. You know, this is one of those things where you have to experiment and see what the feedback is. But I would say go start learning Golang, because Golang will help you be a better JS developer than learning JS will, because the principles in Golang apply better to JS than anything you're going to find on Stack Overflow with JS, right? So if you want to be a great JavaScript developer, Golang is the language to study rather than JavaScript, because in JavaScript, what you're going to see is a bunch of confused people trying to teach you drunken C#, okay? So they had too much champagne and then tried to write C#, and they ended up with FrankenScript. Whereas if you look at Golang and you just try to model your JavaScript that way, there's one or two things that don't translate over quite perfectly. But I would say in general, you're just going to be a stronger JavaScript developer modeling after the way that Golang is written. So that's my 2 cents. creedsofcraftsmanship.com. Check out the talks and presentations and stuff there if you are so inclined. Okay. You know what else I want to do? I kind of want to document this a little bit better. Just make it a little easier to read. I don't know if this is right, but base num. Let's try this. Base num plus. Whoops. And then we say base cap, or base upper, base lower. Digits, upper. There we go. Digits plus upper plus lower. And then I think this is a little bit easier to read. Digits plus lower plus upper. Maybe it's not. I don't know. I think it's all right, though, either way. And then let's go ahead and take our shuffle. And then what else do we have in here? Encode, generate, checksum, verify. Okay. I think that this is all right. I think this is an all right way to go about it. Let's go ahead and see if it still looks good. Something's broke. Oh, okay. Where's that R&D at? Alphabet dot split. That's why. That's why I had it like this. Let me do dot split again. At this point, I kind of just want to do it this way. I don't now I don't now I'm in a now I'm far from where I wanted to be. Because now I don't know if I made this any more readable or take up any less space. I don't know if I really have any benefit to that now. Okay. All right, let's move it from being called inner. Maybe we should just call it generate token. I don't know. And instead of GitHub, this should definitely be called test token. All right, I am gonna need to go in just a second. So I think we're gonna need one more where we publish this and get this up on the webpage. In fact, maybe I can get this up on the webpage real quick. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to have to rename it from generate to base62 token.js. That makes a lot of sense. I might need to name it to something else, but we're just going to go with that for now. Okay, so what else have we got here? We need another form. So we've got one section with a form. We need another section with another form. Really, this should be a completely different type of thing. So choose your prefix, i.e., let's see. Choose your token prefix. And then what GHP, GHO. What are the other ones that they show in their article? User to server, server to GHS, GHR. And this should just be an input. And the input should be what? Let's go grab from these other things. It's going to be type equals. Do we want this style thing? Maybe we do. Nah. The type is equal to text. Placeholder is equal to. Let's put this in here. All the value to be? B62 underscore. All right, Base62 dictionary. This makes a lot of sense. And we're just going to go with, we're going to go with the base X implementation, or I guess it doesn't matter. And this really should be scrambled. I don't know what to say about that. Placeholder. A random randomized Base62 dictionary. 0 through 9, A through Z. All right, input type. We don't need to worry about input type. And then we just need to generate, right? Or we could have a verify. That we could do. Okay. I don't really want to put a verify right now. I think this would be a to-do. Because the verification, we also got to put in a message here that the verification is actually not going to work except on ones that you generate yourself. Let's see. Let's just take a look at what that kind of sort of looks like right now. That's something's wrong for sure. This section there, this section here. Okay. I'm not quite sure what's wrong about that, but something doesn't feel right. That's okay. Okay, we're going to have a generate button. Okay, so let's go with form. Okay. Form data ID equals convert. And form data ID equals generate. And then let's go update our, however we ended up doing this, web demo. Oh, and also, didn't we have some sort of thing that we put this into the vendor? No, we didn't do that. Okay. Hey AJ, would you mind answering a GameCube question for me, or is this a bad time? No. This is an all right time. We're just live coding and hanging out, so we do off-topic stuff during these times. So go ahead, ask away. I will answer your GameCube questions as well. Data ID equals. I don't know why, but I just prefer to use double quotes inside of this. I think I had a bad experience once with single quotes, you know, and it just scarred me. What did I call that thing? So encode, something that can encode and decode is called a codec, by the way. A little bit of trivia for you. Yeah, I did call it convert. And so the other one, which I kind of want to redo this. I don't like doing it in this jQuery style. One, it looks like it's jQuery, but it's not. And two, I prefer the more, what do they call these? What do the kids call it these days? Imperative style? No, declarative style. The more declarative style. Yeah. Okay, what do we got? Oh, you didn't ask the question yet. Okay, well, I'll wait. We'll see. Oh, there it goes. Have a Spice Orange GameCube that plays US games. Would be possible. So, did you not ask me this on the YouTube channel? Because I already replied to this question. Same question. Spice Orange Japanese GameCube. US games. Run Swiss. Fire method. Or I need US cube. Yeah. Yeah. So no, you're good. Yeah, go check out for more details. Check out the reply that I left you on YouTube. But yes, it'll work. Yeah, it happens. I don't know how it works on the other side, because I get a little notification bell when people leave me questions. Okay, so what am I doing? Did I just copy this? No, just that one bit. That's all right. Okay, so basically, I mean, this is pretty simple. What do we got? Base. So we got Base62 and Base62 token. Is that right? Base62. Where Base62 come from? Okay, Base62 token comes from window Base62 token. That's fine. So then we got Base62 token. Let's see. Base62 token dot generate. And then what was it? I was going to do. We need to pull in the prefix. Is that right? Let me go look at this again. Do we have dictionary? We have prefix, value, placeholder, text. Oh, I don't have a name for this. Name equals prefix. And I probably need, rather than calling this one dictionary, I just need to call it something different because I just want it to be named differently because I want there to be two of them. And I can have that if that's what I want. So I'm an independent black woman and I don't need no man. I may need a boot card made. Are you still doing those? Yeah, I've got a whole box of them over here. Yeah. I don't remember which version of it. Do you have the original version of Agent Under Fire or you have the classic hits version? Okay, var prefix equals, and then we're going to have inputs. Again, let me just do, oh no, I don't want to do that. Name equals, and then what was it, prefix. And then we're going to do dot value, I think. And then for dictionary, it's going to be similar. I guess I don't really need input there. It's going to be name equals dict dot value dot trim. And then we're going to generate the dict and the prefix and the length. I guess I should have a length here too. Then length. And then we could do the math to show this is how many bits of entropy that are in the token, et cetera, et cetera. That'd be kind of cool. So we could do here parse int 10. Funny thing is, even if you make it of type number, it doesn't give you back a number, it gives you back a string, which kind of makes sense for historical purposes, but doesn't quite make sense for, well, duh purposes, And then what do we want to do with this? Once we got this token equals, and then we want to put the token somewhere, so we probably want to put, I think I saw a corner of my eye, something pop up again, so I'll check the comments in just a second. But token equals dot value equals token. All right, so I think this is what we're going to do. I think that's right. So let's go back here and we're going to put choose your prefix, choose your dictionary, and then we're going to have a token length. We should do the calculations for them. In characters. All right, so here, whoa, where's that name equals like that? That's bad. That's kind of a weird thing I hadn't considered before. That just creates an attribute with an equal sign. Okay, you got the 001. I don't remember. I'd have to look it up in the chart, but I think that's the. I'm not sure. Wait, hold on. Are my headphones on? No, I hear. Oh, it's the TV in the other room. Okay. Anyway, I don't remember. I think 001. I don't remember if there's 0 indexed or if they're 1 indexed. But either way, yeah, I can make that for you. We can do that. Okay, choose your token entropy length. What was I at here? Name is length. Was that it? I forgot what I called it already. I did call it length, thank goodness. Type is number. Value, we're going to start off with 30. I'm going to say example 30 as I like to do. And then step equals 1. So min is equal to 1. I don't think we really need a max on here, but I don't know. Let's go with something crazy. 2048. 4096. It's over 9,000. Yeah, I think that's a good one. Little Easter egg. Annoy the bejeebies out of somebody. Oh, whoop. Oh, something went wrong. Something went wrong. Let's see what went wrong here. Nope, that's not the right one. Okay, I got to get out of here. Token requires not defined. Base62 token.js. Oh, because I got to... Ooh. Okay, vendoring. I got to tell somebody I am running a little late because I want to fix this before I go. I want to get this published. I'm running a few minutes late, as per usual. All right. Where's the CRC32? We're plopping that in vendor. Yeah. And then we're going to load from here. We've got vendor CRC32.js. Was that correct? Let's double check. Yep. Cool. All right. So let's see what we've got there. No complaints now. But generate still did not work. Why did generate not work? Let's go check the name of the form real quick. Okay, form data ID equals convert, data ID equals generate. Let's go look in the JavaScript. All right, data ID equals convert, data ID equals, oh, convert. Okay, and then we also need to add on here, let's do a little input. I'm actually going to put it above the generate because that makes most sense to me, and most sense, mo better, you know. It's my party. I can cry if I want to. Name is token. Type is going to be text. Value is none. Placeholder is example B62 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, now let's see what happens here. I kind of want that to be wider. Can we make this wider? I bet we can. You can bet your bottom dollar you can. Everybody knows I'm a country singer in my spare time. Uh-oh, didn't work. All right, first of all, let's take a look at this here. Dot length 62. Cannot assign to read-only property. Shuffle, rand, 31, 20, and 31, and 63. 20, 31, 63. Can y'all help me remember that? 20, 31, 63. Okay. 20, array, okay, yeah. Shuffle. And this would be the 31, chars. Chars is alphabet.slice. So rnd.alphabet. You know what? We're just going to need to do if alphabet alphabet equals alphabet dot split. I don't know. To do. Leave this up to the user. Something's not quite right there. But I think that's going to fix it. And then I think I can push, and then I think I can go on my merry way. Cool, we can generate. All right, so in the next bit, we're just going to finish up the publishing. We're going to be able to verify, and we're going to get on our way. Okay, so this section, I guess, needs a header or something. I don't know. Do we need headers in the sections? I'll have to look at that later. We're just going to put in here for right now, header, GitHub style base62 tokens. Let's see what happens if I just do that. Nope, didn't like it. All right. What if I try H2? Let's throw an H2 in there and just see how it feels. I don't know if that's what I'm supposed to do here. Yeah, that was all right. Let's go up and do that with the other one too. So let's say base X style base62 codec. Yeah, this is good. This is great. Feeling wonderful about it. Git rebase-i main, and then we're going to reword this, and we're going to fold that in. And the way we're going to reword this is feature, add GitHub style base62 token generation. Boom. Unmuted again. I don't think I was muted for that long. What? Okay. Cool. So this should go live soon. So we got all right, I feel decent about it. Time to go. Okay, so for those of you that joined in, if you want to give it a big fat thumbs up, share with people that you like. If you like it, share it with people you like, all that. That'd be great. If you didn't like it, thumbs down and share with someone that you don't like. I'm going to put another, this is what my daughter does. She's, and then I continue to do it. Link to the Discord. I'm going to put another link to the Discord in the chat if I can figure out where the chat went. It was just here a second ago. There it is. So I'm going to put another link to the Discord in the chat. If you want to pop in there, say hello. If you want to make topic suggestions, just have a little bit of chat and banter with the other people that join in on streams, feel free to do so. We didn't finish Mr. Mountain Dew. What a pity that would have been. And yeah, let's try to get to, dang it. Now I'm saying, I don't know where that came from. Get rid of like, say, acquire, Anyway. Let's boost viewership on the channel if we can. That comes from not just sharing, but also suggestions to me to make the content better. And I will catch y'all all on the flip side. Yes, Yorun, good to see you again. You have a great night. Everybody have a wonderful new year. Adios.